आप सभी को मेरा नमस्कार। आई वेलकम ऑल ऑफ यू। सबसे पहले तो मैं अपने संस्थान के निदेशक डॉक्टर राजेश कुमार, आज के हमारे इस वर्कशॉप के मुख्य अतिथि डॉक्टर शिवदत्त, प्रिंसिपल साइंटिस्ट, आईपीटीएम आईसीआर न्यू दिल्ली, हमारे संस्थान के फसल उन्नयन विभाग के विभागाध्यक्ष डॉक्टर नागेंद्र राय, फसल उत्पादन विभाग के विभागाध्यक्ष डॉक्टर अनंत बहादुर जी, फसल सुरक्षा विभाग के विभागाध्यक्ष डॉक्टर अरविंद नाथ सिंह जी, हमारे संस्थान के मेटर साइंटिस्ट डॉक्टर प्रभाकर मोहन सिंह जी, और हमारे बनारस हिंदू विश्वविद्यालय से आए हुए डॉक्टर सुभादीप राय आपस, और साथ में आज हमारे डायस में और ई डायस में जो जुड़े हुए हैं पार्टिसिपेंट्स, और उसमें जो हमारे इमिनेंट स्पीकर्स हैं, पैनलिस्ट हैं, उस पे डॉक्टर प्रदीप श्रीवास्तव जी, प्रोफेसर डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ बायोकेमिकल इंजीनियरिंग आईआईटी बनारस हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी, डॉक्टर गीता राय, प्रोफेसर ह्यूमन एंड मॉलिक्यूलर जेनेटिक्स बनारस हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी, डॉक्टर अश्विनी सीवाल, एसोसिएट प्रोफेसर, ज्वाइंट डीन रिसर्च एंड कोऑर्डिनेटर पैटर्न सेल, लॉ फैकल्टी, दिल्ली यूनिवर्सिटी दिल्ली, एंड हमारे संस्थान के डॉक्टर शैलेश कुमार तिवारी, सीनियर साइंटिस्ट। इसके अलावा हमारे इस प्रोग्राम में बनारस हिंदू यूनिवर्सिटी वाराणसी, एनडीयूएटी अयोध्या, बीयूएटी बांदा, शिव वैष्णव इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी इंदौर से जुड़े हुए पार्टिसिपेंट्स, ऑर्गेनाइजर्स और सज्जनों, देवियों सज्जनों, मैं आप सभी का स्वागत करता हूं, अभिनंदन करता हूं। ये जो आईपीआर वर्कशॉप है, इंटेलेक्चुअल प्रॉपर्टी राइट्स में, ये किस प्रकार से हमारे बौद्धिक संपदा को बचाने में, उसके संरक्षण करने में मददगार होगी, सहायक होगी, उसके लिए एक साझा मंच ये प्रोग्राम प्रदान करेगा, कार्यक्रम उस तरह से साझा मंच के रूप में काम करेगा। और ये कार्यक्रम हमारे काशी में हो रहा है, ये सर्व विद्या की राजधानी है। और जैसी हमारी ट्रेडिशन रही, तो वंदे मातरम के साथ कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत करते हैं। तो मैं सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स से, जो हमारे इस हॉल के अंदर और हॉल के बाहर जुड़े हुए हैं, उनसे अनुरोध करता हूं कि खड़े होकर के स्टैंडिंग ओवेशन में के लिए खड़े होंगे। आप सभी लोग स्थान ग्रहण करें। जैसे हमारी परिकल्पना है अतिथि देवो भव। आज हमारे मुख्य अतिथि डॉक्टर शिवदत्त, प्रधान वैज्ञानिक, IPTM, इंडियन काउंसिल ऑफ एग्रीकल्चर रिसर्च, नई दिल्ली। मैं अपने संस्थान के निदेशक डॉक्टर राजेश कुमार जी से अनुग्रह करता हूं कि हमारे मुख्य अतिथि को पुष्पगुच्छ देकर के सम्मानित करें। और साथ में मैं निदेशक महोदय से अनुरोध करता हूं कि अंग वस्त्रम से मुख्य अतिथि को सम्मानित करें, और साथ में देवों के देव महादेव काशी विश्वनाथ की जो प्रतिकृति है, देवों के देव महादेव हम सभी का कल्याण करें, और वो स्मृति चिन्ह के रूप में हमारे निदेशक महोदय मुख्य अतिथि को देते हुए आप हम लोग अपने कार्यक्रम की शुरुआत करने के लिए आप सभी सम्मत लेते हुए डॉक्टर सुदर्शन मौर्य जी को, प्रधान वैज्ञानिक हमारे संस्थान में हैं, अनुरोध करता हूं कि आए। मैं ये अनुरोध करता हूं फसल उन्नयन विभाग के विभागाध्यक्ष डॉक्टर नागेंद्र राय जी से कि पुष्प गुच्छ देकर के हमारे निदेशक महोदय का स्वागत करें। अब मैं प्रधान वैज्ञानिक डॉक्टर सुदर्शन मौर्य जी से अनुरोध करता हूं को पुष्प गुच्छ देकर के हमारे संस्थान के निदेशक महोदय का सम्मान करें। तो स्वागत संबोधन के लिए डॉक्टर सुदर्शन मौर्य, प्रधान वैज्ञानिक।
वेरी गुड मॉर्निंग, नमस्कार, स्टेम डायरेक्टर सर, चीफ गेस्ट of today's event program, head of divisions, principal scientist, RA, SRF, YPs, faculties, and students who are joining us via online. Today we gather to explore, discuss, and deepen understanding of how to protect the leverage intellectual assets. In the today's deliberation, we will provide insight into various aspects of intellectual properties like patent, trademark, copyrights, design, plant protection varieties, and their critical role in fostering a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship. We have with us our director, Dr. Rajesh Kumar sir. Always our director motivated us to proceed such type of event to fostering innovation and create a culture for new technologies. Thank you, sir, for with us. And today we have 5 dignitaries, 5 speakers who join with us in the physical mode. Dr. Sudhar, sir, Principal Scientist, IPTM, New Delhi, Chief Guest of the today's event. Welcome, sir. And Dr. Geeta Rai, Professor, Banaras Hindu University. She also joined with us via online mode. And Dr. Pradeep, sorry, Dr. Ashwini Siwal, Associate Professor, Delhi University, and Coordinator Patent Cell. He also joined with us as a online mode. And Dr. Pradeep Srivastava, Professor, IIT BHU. He also joined with us via online and in physical mode. Dr. Shailesh Kumar Tiwari, uh, scientist, ICR, IIBR. Welcome you all, sir. And uh, as per our activities, you know very well, because we are here to uh, in the today's event, one day program, that is IP awareness for strengthening IPR portfolio. Uh, Today's deliberations definitely enlighten us in this area. Once again, a very warm welcome to all of you. Let's embark on this insightful journey together. Thank you all.
धन्यवाद सर. Thank you very much for briefing of our workshop. Now I kindly request to Dr. Rajesh Kumar ji for opening remark of this workshop.
A very good morning to one and all who is present over here physically and who has joined in online mode to this platform on this occasion of one day IPR awareness program. IP awareness and strengthening IPR portfolio, which is very much sponsored by Council of Science and Technology, UP government. We are very thankful to CST UP, especially Dr. Pooja Yadav, Joint Director, for kindly funding this program. Today's chief guest, Dr. Shivdat, Principal Scientist at IPTM ICR. We all welcome you, sir, who is looking after the helm of the affairs of the intellectual property technology management at ICR level, Apex level. Our heads of divisions, Dr. Nagendra Rai, Dr. Anand Bahadur, Dr. Ian Singh, our senior and mentor, Dr. PM Singh sir, principal scientist, senior scientist, my dear RAs, SRFs, YPs, and very special guest, Dr. Shubhadeep Roy, who has joined BHU as associate professor. He is also having some agreement. We will talk to him in detail to have some incubation program in altogether. So I welcome everybody. I also see that I was told that there are 400 registered participants of this program through online mode. This program is also streaming through YouTube. So this IPR is now very important component of research, innovation, and other things what we are doing in our research ecosystem. Intellectual property rights have emerged as a critical pillar in the contemporary research ecosystem. In agriculture and particularly in vegetable research, IP protection is not a merely legal formality. It is a strategic tool to safeguard innovations, incentivize creativity, promote technology transfer, and ensure that research outputs are translated to tangible benefits for farmers, industry, society, and other stakeholders at large. In this era, marked by the rapid technological advancements, including artificial intelligence and data-driven research. Awareness and informed management of IPR have become indispensable for scientists, students, and innovators alike. So, this program is timely and highly relevant in building capacity and nurturing an IP conscious culture within our institutions. IAVR has been consistently working towards strengthening its IPR and technology commercialization ecosystem through the Zonal Technology Management Unit and Agribusiness Incubators established under the National Agriculture Innovation Fund scheme. The JETMUs plays a pivotal role in identification, protection, valuation, and commercialization of intellectual assets generated at the institute and across the 11 ICR institutes in its zone. It also acts as a vital interface between researchers, industries, startups, and policy frameworks, ensuring compliance with ICR and national IPR guidelines while facilitating the benefit sharing. I'm happy to share that during last 5 years, 47 licenses covering 24 technologies has been granted, resulting in revenue generation of more than 80 lakhs through license fees and royalties. This achievement reflects the strong IP pipeline in ICR IAVR and the growing confidence of industries and entrepreneurs in our technologies. In addition, the National Technology Management Unit has actively organized IPR awareness program, IP lectures, IPR awareness week, and business interactions with private and public sector organizations, thereby strengthening outreach and capacity building in intellectual property management. Complementing to these efforts, the agribusiness incubator at IAVR has been instrumental in promoting agri entrepreneurship and technology based enterprises. By supporting the startups, FPOs, and individual entrepreneurs through incubation, mentoring, and market linkage, the ABI has contributed to successful business models, generating significant employment and turnover. These success stories reaffirm the importance of linking research, IP protection, and entrepreneurship for sustainable agricultural development. I am confident that today's deliberations by our eminent speakers, Dr. Shivdat, Dr. Shailesh, who has joined physically, and Dr. Pradeep Srivastav, Dr. Ashwini Siwal from his Joint Dean, Research and Coordinator, Patent Sets in the Law Faculty of Delhi University. Dr. Pradeep Srivastav had been until recently leading the country as the Executive Director of TIFAC, which is a think tank for promoting and forecasting and assessment of the technologies in all sphere of the research ecosystem. Dr. Geeta Rai is Professor Molecular and Human Genetics, who is also an IP expert. I welcome all, and with these words, I once again welcome you all and wish the program every success. I hope today's interaction will inspire you to strengthen the IPR portfolio and contribute meaningfully to the innovation-led agriculture growth. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir.
So, since the schedule is very packed, so without wasting time, I request and invite Dr. Shivdat to start the presentation on IPR landscape in agriculture. We haven't asked anybody or okay online who is are we audible? Anybody? Anybody joined online?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You are
Audible, sir, audible.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
So, thank you. Good morning to all, respected director, head of the divisions, and my fellow scientists, colleague from this institute, and dear students, participants, joined online, and the participants sitting over here. Thank you all, and good morning to you all. Thank you to the team of this institute for giving this opportunity to me over here to share some experiences in IPR, whatever I've worked in the ICR system. So thank you all. And actually, this kind of workshop which you have organized, sir, the team of institute, I would like to extend my thanks to director and his team. It shows your institute's commitment for this IPR activities. Yeah, thank you all. So now I would move to our my presentation. That is it was assigned to me, that is intellectual property landscape in agriculture. So the friends, as you know, I mean that this IPR is basically the creation of the knowledge from your mind, and then your knowledge, when it converts into the wealth, I mean the knowledge convert into wealth, is the IP. And when this IP is going to protect, and that is the right, and then protection is under certain law, in certain under certain area or the geography. So basically the main tenet of if we call this principle of IPR is the protection against unwanted competition. Protection against unwanted competition, that is the basic principle of IPR. And then when we say the future of the country, the future of any country is determined by its capacity to innovate and conversion of knowledge into wealth. So this is the basically we call this the future of every country. And when we are talking about IPR, means the knowledge in as we know, the knowledge is the priceless asset. Knowledge is priceless asset. When this knowledge and this knowledge can be exploited to convert into the financial gain, in the financial gain, when your knowledge converted into the financial gain, and that gives the advantage of knowledge based economy. So that is the basic concept of this IPR. And now I would discuss over here the IPR, various, the relevant laws which are, applicable in agriculture, relevant laws of IP. Okay, then the overall, the IP portfolio of ICR, where we have, reached. I mean, the ICR nowadays, where we have, what we have achieved in, IPR's perspectives in ICR. And then the important law which I would like to discuss over here, because this is being, the Crop Science Institute. So definitely, my talk will be, incomplete if I'm not taking the different aspects of PPBFRA. So Protection of Plant Variety and Farmers' Rights Act. So friends, this is IPR. IP means it, the three words in the joint, that is intellectual, property, and rights. When your idea and creation in your mind, that is the intellect, it is in intangible form. When your intangible form knowledge convert into the tangible form, and this is not diminishing, not decrease over the time. And for protecting this, it is given those kind of the legal right under a certain legal law. So that kind of the protection is given basically to the creator, to the innovator, as a monopoly right. I mean, your monopoly is there, you are the custodian of your IP, and now nobody can use your IP without your permission. So that is the basic crux of this IPR, and this is the definition. I'm not going to tell this, because everybody know this IPR. And sorry. So these are the general features of IPR. What are those? That is the statutory right. I mean, it is the right given in a particular geography, in a particular country, in a particular state by the, and then it is again, I have, as I said, this is the monopoly right to given to the innovator, right? And that innovator, actually, he can exclude others to use their IP or his or her IP, right? And it is given for a particular time. So in case of the patent, it is given 20 years, like in plant varieties, 15 years, like that. So, and then this provides rights the prospects for the future. If something, somebody wants to, use it in future, and that right also is, aligned with the innovator, right? And then you have to disclose information, whatever IP you have generated, and now you want to protect that IP, you have to disclose something, disclose how you have invented it up to a certain limited, certain limit. Not, I mean, everything you have to not disclose, right? Whatever the procedure, I mean, in detail that you don't need to disclose, but the disclosure is needed to protect under certain, IP form, right? Under certain law. So there are requirement of disclosure, like for the patent or for copyright or whatever. I mean, there are different forms. I would also, tell in little, because it is a separate, all these IP forms is a separate, a separate lecture is required. But I would, highlight few points, introductory points over here, because we cannot, cover in this sort of time. And these are the different assets, IP assets in agriculture, what we generally, generate in our, day-to-day activities or the research programs or the, during our study program, like inventions, new technologies, your product processes, modified technologies, then biological resources. These are also, IP, what we are developing, like variety, parental line, hybrid breeding material, then publications, and then the even data also. The raw data is also IP, which is not protected, but it is IP. I mean, something will come out from your data. And then the core competency, whatever the experience, knowledge is you are having, and that kind of consultancy or contract research you can provide to the clients, right? To the outside clients, because that kind of experience, never die until the death of man, right? Or the person. Because those kind of, I mean, after retirement also you can, give the consultancy, whatever the experiences IP you have. So those kind of things are also, come under this competency of professional services. For these kind of services, we have already, the policies in the ICR. Then these are the international IP related policies, which are very important, because once we are, being a plant science scientist, and I think you must have read in your different programs also, because this patent, as you know, this in the plant in India, patent is not permission, right? Patent is not given in India in case of plant varieties. So it was, but it was, first time it was applied in this 1930 in the US. That was the law, that Plant Patent Act. And then this, the provisions, the guidelines of UPOV. Though we are not a member of UPOV, but the different regulations or the provisions for defining the protection of breeders' right, or the, these were given through this UPOV. UPOV guidelines were there, that I will also discuss in my, next slide. And then FAO is important organization that they, regularize the plant genetic resources in the protection of how to protect these plant genetic resources for the food and agriculture. Right, then they have taken, the rule regulations provide facilitated the, the regulations for the farmers' rights as well. And then CBD, yeah, everybody know this Convention of Biological Diversity. Basically, the origin of our biological diversity, bioresources protection, bioresources came out of this CBD, right? Then the International Treaty on PGR, Plant Genetic Resources, and this was actually the treaty in 2004. I will, tell in my next slide. And then this Nagoya Protocol, this is giving access and benefit sharing. I mean, the regulations for the access and benefit sharing out of the utilization of bioresources or genetic resources. So this is basically the balance between the providers. Providers, who are the providers? Providers are the farmers. And then they are consumers also for genetic resources, and the innovators, the breeders. So there is a balance. The international treaties, they made a balance over, the supplier of the genetic resources and the user of the genetic resources. The all kind of, the suitable rights of the were protected in different laws based on the policy at the international level. So what were those policies? Before 1983, at that time there was a free exchange of genetic material. There was no restriction over the genetic, sharing of genetic resources over, between the foreign countries, right? So, I mean, this was the basically paradigm shift uh, for this, from this, human mankind, heritage of mankind, to the sovereign right of the nations. Sovereign right of the nations were given by CVD, under CVD. The convention, I mean, the different members countries were there in the CVD. As CVD take care of the sovereign right of the nations for conservation of plant genetic resources and sustainable utilization of plant genetic resources or bioresources, or the equitable benefit sharing. And based on this policy, CVD, our, India's BDA developed, Biological Diversity Act. And this was actually origin of this BDA came out of the provisions of the regulations provided, facilitated under the CVD, and then our BDA was developed. Under this BDA, we included all kind of the provisions for protection of plant genetic resources, right? So basically, this is not IP law. This is not IP law, but it take care about the conservation and sustainable utilization of plant genetic resources, which is required for taking any IP. If you are going to use plant genetic resources in developing your new IP, then this law came into picture, right? So that is required. So I mean, you should know that this, yeah. So then bioresources, then this PGR were more formalized. That kind of framework was, developed under FAO, and then this ITPGR FA policy was developed, and they take care everything about the facilitation and access of plant genetic resources under multilateral system. Under this multilateral system, your, the annex crops, annex 1 crops of, this ITPGR FAO, ITPGR FA, and they are, permissible to exchange between the member different countries. So they developed these kind of rule regulations under the International Treaty on Plant Genetic Resources that, take care about the farmers' rights as well as access of genetic resources. And these are the, the PPBFRA and the then patent and UPO. This actually, these guidelines were developed on the mandatory requirement of TRIPS. As you must have heard about the TRIPS, because many people know. And these TRIPS basically give the rule and regulations for protection of plant varieties and breeders' rights. And those kind of, the rights were protected under, the India, took these, the issues, and they covered under the development of this protection of plant variety and farmers' rights. So these, issues were covered. Every member country has to develop their own law. So that's why the, India also developed a PPBFRA, and this is a unique law in the world where, the rights of the breeders, researchers, and farmers as well. Farmers' rights also taken care under this PPBFRA. That's why it is called, the unique law. And then the farmers' rights, the sovereign right under CVD also, they are giving the, this kind of regulation that farmers' rights must be taken care. And then under our BDA we have taken. And then under Nagoya Protocol also, the providing the this benefit sharing, sustainable utilizing, equitable benefit sharing out of utilization of the genetic resources, because farmers are the generator of genetic resources. So they are, the due, the contribution must be regarded, and that's why this, this access and benefit sharing provisions were made through Nagoya Protocol, and these were covered under BDA also. And then international ITPGR also, take care all this, farmers' rights. So this ITPGR and the CVD, they, and then BDA gives the bilateral kind of, the exchange. And then ITPGR covers the multilateral system, under the multilateral system use of, genetic material. And these are the different laws, because Seed Act 1966 is very much essential for, when we are going to take the protection of plant varieties. But although this is not in the, IP law, and then BDA is also not IP law, but it is essentially required for, when we are going to take the protection of plant varieties or genetic resources. That's why just I have mentioned over here. And this is basically giving the, legislation for, the maintaining production, the quality seed production, distribution of quality seed production, and it's a sale, and it regulates, because now the draft has also come, which is under, discussion. And then this under the patent, under the Indian Patent Act 1970, this also gives the, exclusive right to the innovator, who can, protect his or her IP under this as a patent. And there are certain requirements of the patent, as you know, the limited, it is given for the 20 years. And then you have to disclose the information, as I already mentioned. And then the PPV-FRA, this is also gives the exclusive right to the breeder or the farmer. And a farmer they can produce or sell or market or distribute seed, but without branding. And then benefit sharing provisions are also taken care in this law. And then the geographical indications, the goods which are developed in a particular geography, which is, giving a kind of quality in, and which is developed under particular region. And for those kind of, goods, these geographical indications law take care. And then this BDA, as I have already mentioned, and it is amended in 2020, 23. Certain amendments have come. Just I will mention in next slide. Then these are the different, laws. As you know, these patents, copyright, patent I have already mentioned. Then copyrights, whatever you are, creation, the writing kind of material, you can protect under copyright. Then trademark, the registered industrial design, protection of the design, right? Design Act. And then undisclosed information, undisclosed protection of undisclosed. Sometimes you have the know-how, undisclosed information that can be taken under a kind of agreement, and that is not protected, but a certain, that agreement can be made, that is also legally, permission and legally binding material. And then the protection of plant varieties, geographical indications, as I have mentioned, and UPOP's provisions were made for the breeders' rights. And this is patent, actually. I mean, just basic things, just I'm going to mention here, because we have, the limited time, because other speakers are also there. Then the legal, this is legal, the monopoly right granted to inventor. And basically, there are three things which are very important for, getting patent over any product or process. It must be novel, inventive steps must be there, non-obviousness, then capable of industrial applicability. I mean, it must have the commercial value. So that's why, this right is exclusively given to the inventor, right? And these are the non-patentable subject matters, because everybody know, you all know about these things. But just I would like to highlight here a few points, and that these plants, animals in the whole, or the and other microorganisms, they are not patentable. Plants were not patentable under Patent Act. That's why we made this, PPV-FRA, right? Because those kind of material we can protect under PPV-FRA, because plants in India are not patentable. So then these traditional knowledge and method of horticulture and agriculture or methods are not protectable under patent. And these are the different challenges of this, Patent Act. Particularly, just I'm focusing over here the from the agriculture perspective, that like when we are going to file the patent, you certainly you require the information and the approval kind of things from the NBA, National Biodiversity Authority, because you are going to use biological resources. Then you have to, if you are going to protect, you are going to take a IPR on based on the your research results, which is based on these plant genetic resources or the bioresources. Then there is certainly there are certain provisions are there in the this one that you have to take permission of NBA, National Biodiversity Authority, because National Biodiversity Authority take care about this BDA. BDA, that statutory body for taking care of this Biological Diversity Act is the NBA. So NBA permission is required whenever you are going to take patent over invention which is based on the information of plant genetic resources or bioresources or genetic resources, right? Whether you are going to take patent here in India or you are going to patent outside India or as a PCT, then again you have to take permission of NBA. And these are the just then you have to give the disclosure of origin of geography of that material, right? Then the material must be deposited in depository, right? If it is material is related to the microorganism, then that will be deposited in that Institute of Microbial Technology, Chandigarh, and then our NBIM is also a repository, and then for the in case of the plants NBPGR, and for animals NVAGR, these all are recognized repositories of our council, also by this NBA. Then these are the opportunities now. Startups and entrepreneurs, yeah, quickly just I will go. And then startups entrepreneurs are also filing patents under this patent act. And this is the PPVFRA basically under this was the requirement of article 27.3 in TRIPS, that every member country of this following this TRIPS of WTO member country has to develop their own law. Then India decided to develop our this PPVFRA, because patent can for plants was not applicable. That's why in the sui generis system we took this the provisions for the protection of breeders' rights as well as farmers' rights. That's why our combination of both we adopted, and then PPVFRA developed. And this is the basically statutory organs of this PPVFRA. Yeah, this is interrelated because all researchers' rights, breeders' rights, and farmers' rights have been taken care under this law, right? And this is basically the origin of this history of this law. The first set of 12 crops were opened in 2006, and registration of these crop varieties were started in 2007 in this PPVFRA. And this is the objective of this. This provides protection for plant varieties, and then it take care of the rights of the farmers, respect of contribution made for the conservation and the improving, and for contribution or development of new varieties. They are because they are the providers, they are contributors for developing new varieties. That's why their rights are also taken care. And then do benefit of contribution is also provisions are there for giving the farmers awards also. Then the plant breeders' rights and growth, then facilitate the growth of the seed industry also, to ensure the availability of high quality seed and planting material. They are also developing varieties and submitting. And this is the procedure of filing varieties under PPVFRA, because first you have to deposit this data, and PVP will examine the variety and complete application, or after taking dust data, dust testing, and they will publish this in the plant variety journal. And plant variety, if you are if you want to give some kind of a position that okay, this is not, this is our variety or something kind of that, then you can oppose within this 3 months, and this is the set procedure for that. And after that, after satisfying from all conditions from your observations taken at the PPVFRA from your variety, and they will publish this, and they will issue the certificate, and your the detail of about this variety will be registered under the national register. And then there are provision of annual renewal fee, compulsory licensing also. Compulsory licensing is given if you suppose your variety is not being produced by a certain company for up to 3 years. They will see, they are not able to provide quality seed and sufficient seed to the public, to the farmers, then automatically that license can be revoked by the PPVFI, and they can give to the other licensee also. So this is kind of compulsory licensing, benefit sharing, renovation, this revocation, surrender provisions. And this is basically the timeline of protection of plant varieties. Trees and vines 18 years, and other crops 15 years from the date of registration. It is given initially for 6 years, then 9 years, and the extent notified variety is 15 years from the date of notification. And this is dust criteria based on that if your variety is fulfilling the criteria of dust, distinctiveness, uniformity, and stability test, and then timeline for the testing of different varieties, that is extent, newer, and DEDB. And then important features, that's continuity in crop variety improvement. It is fulfilling and giving the facilitating and provides this, the protection for the researchers' rights, breeders' rights. Researchers can use any variety which is registered for the research purpose. For if he or she wants to commercialize that, then they have to take permission of authorization of the breeder. For repeated use in developing, EDV also is required. Essentially derived variety, which is coming from the initial variety, which is contributing all character and except one additional essential character in new variety. And then safeguard of the farmers, as I already mentioned, and ensuring quality seed supply through compulsory licensing. This is a provision. And then the new variety, what we will call that new variety, that seed of a new variety should not come in market within 1 year. If it is older than 1 year and it has already commercialized, then it will not be treated as new variety. Then it can be treated as a extant variety. So extant variety that may be registered under that. So researchers' rights, yeah, all these benefits are given. Then farmers' rights, definitely they have covered all these the rights and the benefits to the farmers given in this provisions are given in this law. And then the rights of the community also, because community also contributing to the plant genetic resources for developing new variety. So those kind of the provisions are also there. Then yeah, farming communities has right to claim benefit sharing also. They are, because they are contributing genetic resources. So and then based on their genetic resources, if some variety is developed and that is being commercialized, if you have developed a variety from taking the material from the local that kind of land races or something, the folk varieties or something, then the community rights are then you have to give the benefit sharing to the community also. So yeah. So this is GI as already mentioned, because this is basically governs a collective rather than individual right, because given to that the entire community or the society or organization. Because individually it is not given. GI, geographical indications. Then different classes are there where our agriculture goods are covered to protect under GI. These are different classes. Then yeah, this is our examples, different examples of geographical indications. I'm not going to say, yeah, this is basically the portfolio of GI. In the last 10 years, it has increased significantly, right? And this BDA, as I've already mentioned, because in the amendment 2023, the recent that the research results which are coming out of the plant genetic resources, then you have to take the registration with the NBA is necessary, and the research results used for commercial or IPR purpose, then again you have to take permission of NBA. But certain exemptions are given for collaborative research projects for the international at the international for the international organizations. Such institution in other countries, I mean the same kind of. And this is basically IP protection initiative at ICAR, because this the first the patent was given by this institute, that the Cotton Institute and the Jute previously in British period. And then patent was application was filed, and after independence first patent application was filed by IRI on that design of plow mode. That was the earlier at that time in that patent design and patent act was there. That's why that design was that filed. And then initially 1950 to 95 period, that was the basically very beginning period. At that time 74 patent applications filed by the 10 ICR institutes. The basic culture of this IPR was started when these dual committee guidelines were developed during 97-98. And then this our this program was accelerated and take up the speed when this our intellectual property management in technology transfer commercialization guidelines were developed in 2006. It was then these guidelines were revised in 2018 as well. And this program is basically running in ICR in two components, that is IP filing or the IP protection management, and that is under innovation fund scheme, that is being taken care under ITMUs, and then incubation fund at AVIs, agribusiness incubation centers. And this is this whole program is working in three-tier system, that is at the ICR headquarter level at IPTM where I am working, and then zonal level zonal technology management units are there, then AVI centers. And then Agri Innovate India Limited is another company of ICR, which is taking care of this commercialization of technologies of ICR. Yeah, this is the IP portfolio of our council, and that plant varieties, the filed and protected also 1300 around, and a patent also more than 600, around 700, and then copyright, filing, designing, and this is yeah, this is the status of different subject matter divisions, where South and Northern Zone, these two zones institutes have filed, the IP, and they have commercialized technologies at a higher level in ICR. And then more than 6,000 licensing agreement have been signed in different institutes for the different technologies, and 1,800 plus technologies have been, commercialized. This is, the different, if we take about the technology commercialization and different subject area, seed and planting material has highest, number of commercialization. And then, so if we talk about the divisions, fisheries and animal science, and then horticulture, horticulture and crop science, and then animal science. These are different, programs, EDPs we have developed. Yeah, this is a scenario of incubation program, which we have, developed these different entrepreneurs, startups over the country in two programs, that is AVIC and Raftar program. And 1,800 plus funded have been, taken, and then 400, more than 400 IP have been, protected by these entrepreneurs or incubators generated under these two schemes. And this is, the basic impact of this scheme of incubation fund, basically. And these are different crops, notified. And this is the, IP portfolio of plant varieties. Cereals have highest number, right? And then vegetables. Yeah, this is the extent variety, notified varieties, PPUFRA. It's just, the IP portfolio, just I would like to mention here. Different, the categories of the crops, right? The cereals, then vegetables, and then fiber crops. These are the 10, more than 10,000 varieties have been protected under PPVFRA across all, the farmers and ICR and SEUs, State Agriculture University, and public, sector organizations. And this is ICRC status. ICR have registered more than 1,200, means around 1,300 varieties. These different crops, actually, that's why I mean, a lot of scope is there in the multiple crops in this institute. I was discussing with Director Saab and head of the division that we should focus on these, different varieties to protect under PPVFRA. This is just status of ICR submitted varieties. Then these are the registered varieties. Yeah, crop wise, if we take registered varieties, we have, the highest number in maize, followed by rice and wheat. Yeah, because generally, this is the data over the last 10 years, around 3,000 varieties we have released in different crops. So if we compare with the this data with the protection, it is less. So there is a lot, scope to protect more varieties, more and more varieties under PPVFRA. Yeah, this is impact of a single variety of wheat. Just example, the single variety was licensed to 35, more than 35 companies. Yeah. This is also then this is the impact of one single variety which was commercialized, basmati. More than 43 companies this variety was licensed. So this is just end of the story, because these the all this IP can be protected in the legal framework, and because the day by day the rapid advancement of the the research in the basic and the strategic areas in agriculture. I mean the technology in this technology regime they can be regulated to get the to access of plant genetic resources and the IPR over the protection of information or the results based on the plant genetic resources or bioresources. And then again this because our laws are harmonized in the provisions of the international policies, and this IPR basically is important to make the long term investment in innovations for growth of any country. That is the story. So thank you for patience listening. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sab. Please, you can have your seat.
Yeah, if you have any question, please.
We are also already running running late.
Sorry, I have taken
So,
a lot of time.
Thank you very much for highlighting the different landscapes of IP management in agriculture as a whole. So, I invite Dr. Pradeep Srivastav, Senior Professor, Department of Biochemical Engineering, IIT BHU, who will be speaking on evolving AI and IPR challenges. He's in online. I think he messaged me that he's not able to connect. He's in Port Blair right now. Dr. Pradeep Srivastav. Okay, so he might join later on. So now moving ahead, next speaker is Dr. Geeta Rai, Professor Molecular Human Genetics, BHU Varanasi. She'll be speaking on turning vegetable research into high value IP assets from process innovation to market power. Madam, are you there?
Hello.
Yes, please. Please share your presentation. Yeah, please put it on the full slide mode.
Just allow me a few seconds.
यहाँ से. Yeah, yeah.
So forgive me because I will start with some reality checks, some hard truth. And I would like to share some very uncomfortable facts with all of you. First, are you aware that only 5 to 7% of the patented inventions ever reach commercialization? Second, thousands of crop varieties are developed, but majority of them have very limited market adoption. Third, the public sector develops and the private sector profits. This is the scenario when we do not protect our intellectual property. Fourth, for the people in the academic sector, the research papers happen to be their academic currency. However, it is the intellectual property assets that are the market currency. So allow me to float some questions to the scientists of IIVR. And I would also like to humbly submit that these questions are not just relevant for this institute, but also to all of us who are in the process in or a process of, protecting our IP and are still lagging behind. But since I formulated it for the scientists of IIVR, I just like to project it. How many varieties have you developed in the last 10 years? These are questions for speculation. How many are formally under the PPV and the FRA, protected under that? And how many are generating revenue? They are licensed and generating revenue. And finally, what is the market share of the IIV varieties? So I would like, with this, I am going to invite all the audience to participate in a discussion, because I just do not want here to lecture, although that's my favorite work, because I am a professor at BHU, and this is my introduction. I am working at the Department of Molecular Human Genetics at the Institute of Science, Banaras Hindu University. I have 25 years of research experience with 10 patents and 5 patents which are granted, more than 100 publications. And I feel very humble to share that I have been awarded as the She is 75 Women's Team Award by the Principal Scientific Advisor of Government of India and the British High Commission. Also, I am feeling very honored to share that I am also a recipient of the CII Women in STEM Award in 2023, awarded by the Confederation of Indian Industry. These are my academic collaborations, which make me what I am today, as I'm a researcher in autoimmunity. And I also work on the compromised immune responses of the low birth weight newborns. And these are my industry partners. It gives me pleasure to share, because I need to justify why I should be a part in the panel of speakers. So these are my granted patents. And these are the patents in the last 5 years, but the journey has been more than that, about a decade. And these are my market entries. These are the products which have come up from the consultancy services, and some of them are my own research products, which are in the market and also in the process of being manufactured. As you can see, some of them are products for the babies, and some are, for the health benefits. Now, if we talk about, see this scenario over here, let me see. I think this is just covering up my slides. Okay, this is better. So if we talk about the IP, can I request the organizers to keep the time for me and allow me to, a beep, or just inform me 5 minutes before the 20 minutes period. So if you talk about the IP revolution in vegetable research, why IP matters in the vegetable research? So we break it down into the market growth statistics. We see there's a lot of hope and a lot of anticipation. The market is to boom by 2030 with this kind of flare, like $970 million US dollars. Yet the commercialization challenges that I just mentioned, we are only at 5 to 7% of patents reaching the market. Hence, this is all the more important that we need to talk about the IP investment cycle. That is, we need to discuss how strong IP protection is needed, how that will be important for attracting the investors, how that will lead our way to the commercialization success, eventually to the revenue generation, which can again be used in the reinvestment in the R&D sector. So putting up, I did some research on the IIVR's IP landscape, and the current strength. I see that IIVR stands very tall and very strong with its variety development. Congratulations to the new leadership, and also to the team of the scientists, because you are, covering the media very strongly with all your excellent licensing these days. The entire the city is learning about it. Not only the city, it's also nationally acclaimed. So congratulations and kudos to all of you for this. So the variety development is about more than 100 vegetable varieties have been released across major crops, including tomato, brinjal, chili, okra, cucurbits, and so on. And the traits are also those which are very advantageous. However, the research areas and the research areas which are having very strong potential for IPs in your segment happen to be hybrid seed production, biofortified varieties, climate resilient varieties, indigenous vegetable improvement, organic production systems, protected collaborate cultivation techniques. So how many are formally protected and how many are generating revenue? That's a question that we all need to explore. So my earlier speaker has already spoken about the Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Rights Act. So I will skip this slide. So this is also a summary that when we talk about from the lab to the market, we see a very significant IP opportunity gap over here, because as we see that the production of the, the vegetables has increased in the last few years, but the IP protection has not increased to the same proportion. So it's time we understand the vegetable sector opportunity and also why vegetables. Uh, I understand there are people in the audience who may not be directly related to the vegetable, but for them, the disclaimer is that all the mechanism that I'll be speaking about under this topic does not apply only to the vegetables. It may be applying to the other agriculture products as well. But as I was speaking for the IIVR, I made the slides more relevant to the institute. So coming back to this slide, understanding the vegetable sector opportunity, we understand that the market size is humongous. The Indian vegetable market is booming at USD 97.6 million as per the reports of 2024, and the processing industry is way above with a CAGR of 5.717% increase. The vegetable seed market is also moving towards a 970 million whooping USD by 2030, and the hybrid segments are also going up. Therefore, it is very conveniently felt that the vegetable research is sitting on the gold mine. So, for the young scientists and researchers who are part of this audience, it is important and impertinent to talk about what kinds of IP protections are available and are available for you to use. So I will categorize them into four main protection mechanisms. First one is plant variety protection, that is already being talked about. So what it does, it basically protects the new plant varieties. And it is best suited for the vegetable varieties and has a duration of 15 years annuals. Second category of protection is the patents. Now, this patent protects inventions, processes, and method. Duration is 20 years. Then there's a very important element, that is the trade secrets, which is a confidential business information and can be kept secret as long for long durations. And this is best utilized for parental lines of hybrids, proprietary protocols, unpublished data. And the fourth toolkit is your copyright, trademarks. So you can actually file for trademark for logos and names and brands that you develop and name them. So why should you care about IP and what's in it for the scientist? So again, to understand why we should at all bother about filing an IP, we should break it into different layers. For example, the IP comes not only just with the institutional benefits and the societal benefits, but it also adds to the personal benefits. Example, you can get recognition because the name of the person is also published on the patents. The revenue sharing as per the ICR policy, I don't know if that's functional in your institute or not, but normally in ICR policy, it's about 1/3 of the licensing revenue goes to the inventors. Then it also is important for the career advancement, that is the IP generation increasingly valued in the promotions, industry connections, and legacy, that your varieties in farmers' fields for decades are there for decades and you feel proud talking about it. Then institutional benefits and societal benefits are aware. We all are aware that it brings reputation to the institute and the farmers are impacted nicely. And then after having understood that this is the benefit for the society and the personal level at the institution level, how do we recognize as a scientist that does my work has an IP potential or not? And is my research IP worthy? So if we are at that junction, I would suggest to ask these questions. First question is, if you are a breeder and working for variety development, you should ask, is it significantly better than the existing varieties? Because one of the important parameters for any IP protection is that it should be having a market adaptation, it should have industrial application, or it has to have usefulness. So does it have unique trait combination? Is it stable and uniform? And would the farmers and companies pay premium for this? Because if the questions to this are no, and you think that this is novel, you should not invest into developing an IP for that. If you are a person who is working towards process innovation, then the question that you should ask is this method novel and non-obvious? Does it solve a significant industry problem? Can it be replicated by others? And does it reduce the cost or increase efficiency significantly? Because there are many people who are into food processing, so these questions are very relevant for them. For technologies, the question that we need to ask ourselves is there a market demand for this solution? Is it scalable? Do you have proof of concept data? And would the companies license this? If your answer to half of these questions are yes, then I think you should go ahead. And if the questions are no, I think that's the point you should check whether you should go and make the investment. Now, coming further, the second thing that we need to understand is the revenue models, making our intellectual property pay. How do we understand that? So the revenue models, the standard revenue models are, I've categorized under 5. That is the seed sales and royalties, which is coming through the direct seed production and breeder seed supply to NSC and royalty. Second model is the technology licensing fee, which is, upfront licensing fee you can give, or annual maintenance fee, milestone-based payments, or running a royalty 2 to 10% of the net sales. These are all the things which can be employed under this. The third model is a material transfer agreement, wherein you set up a fee for the germplasm transfer, and you also discuss the benefit sharing arrangements in the MOU. Fourth is the consultancy and technical services, wherein you talk about the production training to the licensees, and you also offer quality certification and field demonstration. And the fourth is international licensing, that is export of varieties to neighboring countries, which fetches you very high royalty rates in the international market. So then we also must understand what is the private sector partnership model. I will go very quickly through this. It is very categorical. The successful partnership models are based on the exclusive licensing, which means a single company gets the production right. Non-exclusive licensing, which means there are multiple licensees. Joint development agreements, wherein the discussion and the MOU is around the risk and cost sharing, and there's a co-ownership of the IP. And finally, the technology packages, which is a bundle offering, which means the variety and the production protocol and the market linkages all are put together, and it fetches you a higher value of proposition. Example of this is the 1988 new seed policy. So, this was a perspective from the researcher's end, the government agency or the institute end. Now, it is also important that we understand what our private sector partners are looking for, what is their desire, because after we understand what is their requirement, it becomes easier for the researcher to cater to develop these varieties or products based on the market requirement. So the private sector perspective and what the seed companies are looking for are, their pain points are that they are in need of continuous new varieties because the market is demanding novelty. And they're also looking for disease resistance, regional adaptation, and quality traits, and the regulatory compliances are also that they have to work into following them. And what are they willing to pay for? That if you want bringing them onto the table, what is something that will allure them? So they are willing to pay and put their money in proven tested varieties with field data, exclusive rights in specific territories. They also look if you're offering technical support for seed production and breeder seed supply, brand association with an institute like yours and many other ICR institutes, this gives them, the edge. And the gap that exists with now is the public institutions have what companies need, but what they lack is the lack of formal intellectual property protection. And because of this, it is making the companies hesitant to invest in the commercialization. So the solution is you protect your IP because there's no other way out, and the companies will then preferably be lining up to licenses. So I know just for a light side, sorry about it. On the lighter side, I just have included some of the quotes from the real seed executives for us because that helps us understand their perspective. One quote was, "We licensed three varieties from IC." I've kept it anonymous, the name. "We licensed three varieties from ICR institutes in the last 5 years. Two became the best sellers, generated 15 CR plus in sales. We paid 45 lakhs in royalties happily. We want more such varieties, but many institutes don't have a clear IP protection or licensing process. Make it easy for us to pay you." They are standing to pay you. So it's definitely our take on this, that we need to protect the products. Second quote that I would like to read to you: "We spend 50 CR annually on vegetable breeding in India. If ICA institutes have varieties that meet our quality standards and are properly protected, we license them. The IP protection gives us confidence to invest in marketing and distribution, and without IP, we cannot justify the investments," which I think is very rational. I'll read one more for you for the sake of time. There's another quote from a company, again keeping it anonymous. "We recently paid rupees 25 lakhs upfront for an IHR tomato hybrid. It was the best investments we made. The variety is backed by ICR's credibility. We got exclusive territory rights and the royalty structure is fair. We are looking for 10 more such partnerships." So this is, very interesting, and it means that there is a requirement at both ends. So we really need to gear up to meet up the gaps. Now, dear organizers, how much time do I have left?
4 to 5 minutes.
Okay. Okay, so so I'll just switch to this slide that for an young investigator, how he or she should look into the pathway of the technology transfer or the putting it to the market. So this is the case study. For example, we are taking a hypothetical technology, which is a heat tolerant tomato hybrid development. So these are the steps, the way you integrate it into the market. So the innovation is phase one, which you do at your end, and you set and these are the the points that you talk about, like that the fruit setting is at 38 to 40 degree because this is heat tolerant. And you put in these claims that it maintains yield in summer month and all that. The IP strategy analysis is, once you have such a variety, then you should do a smart IP protection. With smart IP protection, I mean you do a trade secret, keep parental lines confidential. When I say trade secret, it means that some of these things can be put as a secret. We do not need to share it out to the companies. And even in the our laws, although the trade secret is something which is not governed by the IPR offices, however, I found cases that the law, there are in the courts, law can be moved to keep some trade secret proprietary. So it is possible in India also with some special additions. So you go for PPV and FRA. If there is for this hybrid variety, then you can also do a patent filing for specific markers assisted selection protocol. You can also build up a trademark and protect it with some brand name. And publication has to come a little later because it will ruin your IP protection. And then you switch on to the commercialization plan. Then you discuss, negotiate with the markets and the companies, and then you bring it to the market. I am very interested in, sharing some failure stories with you because they are very interesting. And I've always felt that we understand and we learn better through our failure stories. So I have a few examples where things just went wrong. So this is one failure story. So this is what is happening. Again, I'm keeping the institute's names anonymous, but these are real stories. So this is a tale one where the published too early thing got the whole thing ruined. So what happened? There was a leading Indian university. It developed breakthrough bacterial wilt resistant tomato. The researcher patented the detailed methodology presented the detailed methodology at an international conference. And then it was published in a high impact journal with full genetic details. And after 2 years, they tried to file the patent. Outcome, the patent was outright rejected because the novelty was destroyed by the author himself, by the producer himself. The private, and not only that, there were other pitfalls. The private company used published methodology and did develop similar variety, filed their own patent, and this is how the university lost a big amount of money. So the lesson learned through this is first file the intellectual property protection and then publish later. The second failure story was also very interesting, the loss of the parental line disaster. What had happened that one of the ICER Institute developed an excellent tomato hybrid in 1990s and it released it for seed production. The parental lines were distributed to multiple seed producers with no NDA signed and no material tracking MOU signed. And what happened eventually was one seed producer shared it with the private company, and within 5 years, there were 20 plus companies selling the same hybrid under different names. The outcome, the institute hybrid became a commodity, no royalty collection was ever possible. The lost market value was more than 50 CRs over the 10 years, and the research investment went to benefit only the free riders. So the lesson learned here, protect your parental lines like a family jewel. You should always guard them, and you should always use a material transfer agreement, restrict the distribution without tracking, and breeder seed production should remain centralized because one leak can destroy entire value. Another interesting failure story is a weak licensing agreement, because these are things which we tend to overlook when we are getting into it. So the story was that a public institute licensed a valuable chili hybrid in 2010. The agreement that was developed for the licensing was very weak. There was no production reporting clause added to it. No audit rights were mentioned. There was a goodwill-based royalty payment option. And what happened, which is very likely, the company which received it underreported the production by 80%. So the outcome was the institute received 10 lakhs per year, but the actual royalty should have been way more. The market intelligence revealed true production volumes, and then that led to a legal battle instrument. The lesson learned is strong contracts are pro-relationship, not anti-relationship, because we as an Indians, we shy off in putting up strong clauses. We should not. Must include the production reporting and the penalties. I'll quickly go to the fourth failure story, the ignored maintenance fee. In this scenario, what happened that an institute registered 10 varieties under the PPV and FRA, and it generated licensing interest, but it forgot to pay the annual renewal fee for 3 varieties. This led to the lapse of registration, and the competitors immediately launched similar varieties. The outcome was the lost protection for 3 valuable varieties, estimated loss of 2 to 3 CRs over the remaining protection period. So lesson learned, IP maintenance is like farming. It requires constant attention. So you must do something to track and put reminders. One more, and this is the last failure.
Madam, please summarize.
All right, allow me 2 minutes. So this is the last failure story. So what happened? The researchers in this case developed technically brilliant spinach variety. 50% of this variety had 50% higher oxalate content and was marked as nutritious by them. They filed a patent, invested 15 lakhs rupees in the protection, and approached seed companies. But the problem was that this spinach came with very high oxalate content that led to bitter taste and likely health concerns. So that did not lead to any market demand, and the farmers did not want to grow it, and the companies rejected the license. The outcome was commercialization did not occur, but not only that, the investment that was put into the research was highly wasted. So I'll come towards the end of it because I just wanted to show some slides. I will not be speaking about it. That in addition to the varieties, there are lots of market demand for the vegetable-based products. I'll just quickly run you through this just to give you a feeler of what can be done. For example, there's a high demand for vegetable-based meat analogs and plant-based dairy alternatives where the market is looking for it. And there are some examples of real recent IP protected vegetable-based products. For example, carrot fiber is a fat texture mimetic. These are very novel ones and interesting ones for us to, take inspiration, work in these directions. Whole vegetable fermentation for flavor creation, beetroot derived flavor and color and flavor system, okra mucilage as functional hydrocolloid, vegetable-based egg replacers, dehydrated vegetable powders are just taking up the market, and aseptic vegetable purees, especially for the babies and other hospital scenario. There's a humongous market for this, and in both globally and India. And the vegetable derived extracts and nutraceuticals are also lining up. The market is also impressive. Then functional and value-added vegetable products. There are also some very novel things are being added to the market constantly. And not to forget about the cosmetics. Your IPR itself has a history of developing some lipstick from vegetable products and was in rounds. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to discuss.
Thank you. Thank you very much, madam. Madam Professor, for enlightening us with the new products based on vegetables. I didn't know that you have so much of this vegetable interest, um, and also citing the very aptly the examples which we could learn and will take into our cognition for the future. Thank you so much for your nice lecture.
Thank you, the organizers and the director, for inviting me for this program. Thank you so much. Bye.
So thank you, madam. Okay, so moving ahead now, I request and invite Dr. Ashwini Siwal, Associate Professor and Joint Dean Research and Coordinator of the Patent Cell, Faculty of Law, Delhi University. He will be speaking on technology commercialization in agriculture in virtual mode. Yeah, I think he has joined. So,
Good afternoon.
here, Madam Geetara, can you unshare your slide, please? या डॉक्टर अश्विनी शिवाल जी, आप अपना स्लाइड शेयर कर सकते हैं.
Yeah, very good afternoon to each one of you. And it is indeed a privilege for me to join this August gathering. Thank you so very much for inviting me to this wonderful event on IP awareness, which is meant to strengthen the IP portfolio in the agricultural institutions. I hope I am audible to everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. I was looking at the profile of the speakers, and I thought that I am the odd man out here. I am the only lawyer amongst the gathering of the scientists. But it makes a sense because the licensing part, which the previous speaker also talked about, is to be taken care of by the attorneys, by the patent attorneys, and by the lawyers. And commercialization predominantly depends on the licensing. She rightly suggested that if there is no audit clause and if there is no, clause on the exact number of reproductions or exact number of productions being done by the particular concerned company to whom you have commercialized your work, then the institute or the inventor will never get to know. as to how many reproductions of his or her work are being done, and he will always get the under royalty, you may say, as suggested by the previous speaker. My task here is to apprise the audience regarding the commercialization. Of course, commercialization is a very tricky component of this innovation ecosystem. We all
Sorry,
understand. Yeah.
so, Dr. Ashwini, do you have it's to
No, no, I'll not be sharing the slides. I'll be just.
okay. Okay, please go ahead then. We are not able to hear you, Dr. Ashwini. Dr. Ashwini, I think you are disconnected. Yeah, yeah, resumed.
It got disconnected somehow. Am I audible now?
Yeah, yeah, audible, loud and clear.
G, G, G. Thank you for confirming it. Well, I was telling you that in this innovation ecosystem, commercialization is a very tricky proposition. And when you asked me that whether I have the slides or not, I told you that I have not brought any slides here. I would prefer to interact and speak on the important aspect of commercialization with the audience here. It's a oral presentation only. For that, I apologize that I haven't brought any slides, but it is okay. Let me proceed. So I was telling you that it is a tricky proposition that commercialization takes too much effort, and irrespective of the fact that the Indian Council for Agricultural Research has a very robust policy. I was looking at the policy and I saw that they have a very robust policy on the commercialization, on the tech transfer. Yet the success rate is very low. Some of the old cases which I could found from my preliminary research from the ICAR, which I would like to share just for the case basis, because it is very interesting to note that irrespective of a very robust policy, there are some very important examples which are in agricultural uh, you know patents and technologies which got transferred initially, but they didn't see the commercial success, like biodegradable plastic 1995 1996 I could see. Then neem based pesticide 2002 2005, another example. It got transferred through NRDC, but the work was potentially good, but no visible scaling up so far as the commercialization is concerned. And there are a lot many examples which I found today morning while I was doing my research to prepare this lecture. We have early examples of BT detection kit, which had quite good sizable initial turnover from licensing. Around 6 crores were earned, but benefit sharing was problematic with the scientist because only 40 lakhs were somehow received and were shared. So are the many cases where you can see that no commercial success or no scaling up of the very good inventions or innovations of the ICR, so at such, or they did not materialize at the commercial level. Similarly, the aspect of commercialization can also be understood by looking at the working of the patents. We all know that Patent Act of the India, as many of you must have studied and must know, that there is a section under the Patents Act which requires, since I am a lawyer, so I will be speaking about some sections which require the inventor or any organization which has patented any invention with the Indian Patent Office. It requires the working of the patent to be annually submitted. There is a Form 27. I'm referring to the form of the Patents Act under Section 146 of the Patents Act. It is a requirement that you have to submit a form annually, and that form elaborates the working, right? And it has to be submitted annually by each inventor as well as by institution or an organization on whose name the patent is granted. But the analysis done in the recent research shows my analysis and some analysis which I found from the literature, available literature, is not very encouraging so far as the working of the patents, as especially the crop based and especially the seed based patents are concerned. One statistics I would like to discuss here. It's since I have not brought the slides, but I will just discuss the statistic which shows that there is really a dearth of working. The statistics is, I am reading out, just have attention to it. The uh, current statistics shows that the Indian Patent Office, because the Indian Patent Office regularly publishes Form 27 details, which they receive from the patentees on an annual basis. And this report is being published by the Indian Patent Office since 2012 or since 2013 onwards. In an analysis, it has been observed that in the last 10 years, around 93,000 patents were reported. Uh, Reported means the working of 93,000 patents were reported to the Indian Patent Office by around 8,000 national and international organizations under Form 27. This is the total number. Uh, this is very poor because in last year itself, 1 lakh patents were filed, but only 93,000 patents were reported so far in the last decade, which shows that Form 27 compliance nahi ho raha hai अच्छे से. I mean, they are not submitting it annually, and the patent office is also has been earlier very lenient towards it. But after the intervention of the High Court in one of the public interest litigation filed by one of the professors of law, Professor Shamnath Bashir, the court directed the Patent Office of India to be particular about it, to keep the record of it, and to annually require the working of the patent. So far, 93,000 patents were reported, out of which total 8,000 national and international organizations submitted their reports. Out of these, you see, interesting portion is this, that around 38,000 were licensed in last 3 decades. Out of these, only 38 were licensed in the last 3 decades, 1991 to 2020. And top 25 organizations, which, alone share 30% in the total licensing or working of the patents at the IPO in this reported period of 1991 to 2020. The IPO data has been assessed and analyzed up to December 2025 in some research by the researchers, and it shows that that these top 25 organizations, in which six companies are having their origin in India: Bharat Heavy Electricals, Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, and Tata Steel Limited. Uh, their share is respectively around 800, 500, and 400, right? And DRDO, of course. So on the working, you see the statistic shows, the number shows that the reported matters are very less. In fact, it is a very discouraging number when it comes to comes to commercialization and finding the evidence based study, or find or doing any evidence based study on commercialization. The researchers find a gap, and they can't do any study unless there is a working status available with the IPO, which is very feeble, and which is very minuscule or scarce. As recently discussed by me, that only 1 lakh or around 93 patents were reported in last so many years, and out of which the top 25 organizations, and their six leading organizations have also shared minimalistic working of their patents, which is alarming. And unless you have this, there is least possibility of getting the you know getting into the nerve of the commercialization. So मैं commercialization पे बात करूं तो पहले मैंने ये इतना अलार्मिंग आपको एक डेटा दिखाया है या बताया है, जो आपको सजेस्ट भी कर रहा होगा, आई एम स्पीकिंग हिंदी डेलिबरेटली, which is suggestive that commercialization is more theoretical, and it is not much visceral in nature as seen from the data available with us. Now, what to do? I mean, what can be done and what should be done so far as this thing is concerned, and why is it important? Of course, a lot of R&D and lot of investment is done for doing any research. And previous speakers have also talked about, that there is a requirement of stringent requirements of novelty, non-obviousness, utility, etc. For obtaining patent, and for other intellectual properties also, you have to fulfill certain qualifications. Irrespective of that, licensing of very few takes place. And even if the licensing takes place, that does not lead to the huge success, because of the fact that ideally most of the inventors, they end up just after getting the patent, they end up in the complacency, or in the status of the complacency, that there is no requirement of doing anything further. In fact, the real work of the inventor starts after it, or the real work of the organization, in fact, starts after the grant of the patent. But our ecosystem at this juncture, the ecosystem on innovation, it you know it primarily focuses on the aspect of creation, and then on the grant of the intellectual property. The commercialization comes very late. The aspect of commercialization is discussed very late. So this is one of the challenges which we have to overcome. And this can be achieved, and it can be overcome only if the organization is a strong gel. The entire ecosystem comes together. The IPO provides a good ecosystem by forcing the inventors and the organizations for the form 27, or the submission of the form 27 annually, and providing the details annually, because unless those details are available, we cannot tell which particular invention is commercialized and which is not, and which is being worked annually. Because there are instances where the particular invention is worked for initial few years after the grant of the patent, but it stops, or it discontinues. The working of the particular invention discontinues because it does not see the market. Its viability in the market is perhaps is not very good, which is why the marketability, or which is why the market scenario of a particular invention discontinues, and it also discontinues from the working. So unless we get that information from the patent office, there is a easy task for one organization to have the information on the commercialization of its intellectual properties. Say for example, ICAR. I was reading some literature today morning, and I found one interesting paper of ICR, published by the researchers of the ICR, wherein they had successfully collated the uh, they have successfully collated the commercialization of their inventions, specifically the inventions of the ICAR or their respective organizations. But that alone is not helpful when it comes to the commercialization of overall patents of different sectors, right? And that is a challenge. All organizations can't be brought together on one platform. There is no mechanism in the country which bring them together. It is only the Indian Patent Office which may have such kind of uh, systematic way of collating the information on working of the patents, and the Patent Act mandates it. The Form 27, by purview of Section 146 of the Patents Act, mandates it. Yet there is a scarcity on the data, And in the absence of the data, the researchers find a research gap and no empirical evidence. Let me just take you through this interesting data of the ICR, wherein I saw that the an aggregate of initially the study which was done on the innovation aspect uh, of working of the patents in India. It is a study which got published in the uh, s- in a very reputed journal called Current Science, which is in front of me, and I was looking at it that there is some data available on the ICR, specifically of the filing of the ICRs, as well as on the commercialization, subsequent commercialization of their works, and wherein I found that in India, let me just read it out for your convenience. Yeah. So there was one study conducted by the ICR, which was basically done on the reports available of the ICR spanning in from the period 2007 to 2024, which provided the data on technology transfer activities. And the study basically compiled data and literature, and the study used some statistical tools also, wherein the results came that uh, uh, top 100 agricultural universities, as well as other organizations pertaining or having bearing with the plant variety protection and other seed sector, etc., they were studied in this particular study, wherein it came out that in the current scenario, uh, since the industrial revolution and the green revolution, there is a very less success rate of the commercialization. One interesting data which came was that ICR has licensed 458 plant varieties, out of which 83 crop species to 95 959, sorry, almost 1,000 public or private organizations so far. So this is one study which I came across, which is very interesting, and I found it really very relevant, that there is a data available that ICR has licensed around 458 around 460 plant varieties of 83 crop species to 959 public private organizations so far. So I don't know what is the status of their commercialization, but these have been licensed. Interesting part to note would be the status of the commercialization, and this analysis is basically based on the uh, review report which is published annually by the ICR. So on the basis of it, this data has been suggested by these researchers in their research. But again, my question and my worry is that how far they are yet viable in the market, how far they are commercialized in the market, and even if they are commercialized, how much contribution in the royalty sharing as well as in the revenue generation it is creating now. Because once the work is licensed, uh, exclusive or non-exclusive licensing for that matter, the researcher, the inventor, I mean the patent holder or the intellectual property holder, doesn't get to know how far his work is being commercialized. It is in the domain of the or in the court of the particular organization to whom you have licensed your work to tell you how far your work is being commercialized. And they generally hide and suppress the real information from you, as suggested by the previous speaker. So there are challenges, there are gaps. Empirical data is available, but that is not really very encouraging. But what we should do in the absence of any such thing, and in light of these challenges which I've just discussed, I would not like to sound pessimist. We have certain certain ways in which we can ensure, and the ways in which we can ensure is the is the fact that licensing should be done in a very appropriate manner. Whenever any organization licenses any intellectual property, the licensing has to be done in an appropriate manner. And the appropriate manner of licensing is what? There should be clauses on audit. There should be clauses on number of particular product being reproduced, and the knowledge about it to be brought to the inventor at every reproduction, or at least annually the knowledge should be or information should be given to the inventor or to the institution concerned. Otherwise, it is gonna be very difficult for the institute to come to any conclusion about the work being produced or reproduced, and commercialized. And so far as model commercialization contracts are concerned, we have the instances from the developed countries. I was looking at the agricultural uh, commercialization stories, specifically the agricultural IP of certain nations, wherein I saw that Europe is leading in the agri commercialization, followed by uh, uh, I believe China now, and Asia in the UPO. It is one of the, you may say, that pioneer in filing the agri-waste patents and in commercialization as well. But internationally, it is the Europe. So their model contracts, their model commercialization contracts should be opted, not as a whole, because of course our requirements, domestic requirements are different, and we have Indian specific requirements. Our law is also different. So keeping in mind our law and the requirements of our law, one of the major, I would reiterate that one of the major requirements in our law is Form 27 and Section 146 of the Patent Act, which should be implemented in black and in its true spirit, so that every inventor or any organization to whom the license has been
Dr. Sir, am
given,
I audible?
all the licensees or assignees of the work should provide the information.
Ashwini Shivalji, am I audible, please?
Yes, you are audible.
Kindly summarize, please.
Okay, it's fine. So this is what I wanted to discuss uh, with the given challenges, with the lot of scope, global scope of the commercialization, and its importance. Keeping in mind its importance, I believe the institute should come out with there is a policy, but model contracts should be made available, and every institute should commercialize its work in consonance with these model or those model contracts which they frame. Thank you very much for providing me this opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Ashwini Shivalji.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm very thankful to you for highlighting the key points in the uh, Indian patents ecosystem, especially in ICR, and also highlighting the different issues for intellectual property management. I can say that ICR has taken recently very vigorously is going on for the licensing of ITs, other products, and in future, I think it will be growing up. Thank you again so
Right.
much
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
and kind consultation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Moving ahead, we have our last speaker, Dr. Shailesh Kumar Tiwari, senior scientist here in the Crop Improvement Division, who will be speaking on IPR issues in India, prospects and career opportunities. So, Dr. Shailesh, you have, since being the last, you have less time to summarize. So, quickly go ahead.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me opportunity to speak to this plethora of intellectuals, along with blooming buds, our YPs and students. And the topic assigned to me is more relevant to the young fellows. I'll be discussing on IPR issues in India with prospects of career opportunities in this domain. And most of the I'll be covering on. Next one. Though I'll be covering on few of the issues just to give an idea about how IP issues are relevant in government marketing sector, and they are governing the economy of countries. But the later part would be addressing on how this market can be used as an opportunity for professionals. Now, I'll be skipping few of the slides because the earlier speakers have already well elaborated the basics of IPRs. Now, coming to how IP protection affects economy. As Dr. Geeta Rai Madam has already pointed out, it incentivizes innovations and creative outputs increase. It enables commercialization and firm growth of any country. Then it attracts foreign direct investment and multinational activities. Recently, it was pointed out that many of the countries, many of the multinational organizations, private sector organizations, they go for commercialization of those items which are IP protected. Then this also supports high wage, high skill employment, and also improves competitiveness in trade. This is about glimpse of where we stand globally. This portion is about India. We are spending 0.7% of our GDP in R&D, and patent filing nearly 90,000. You can very well see the other numbers of the developed countries. In Global Innovation Index, we are somewhere near 40, and our IP intensity level is graded as moderate one. Similarly, we have very good IP protection laws, but we are yet to work more intensively on commercialization and enforcement of those laws. And because we have overall maturity of IP issues, we are still developing and emerging. And this is the reason why such IP awareness programs are relevant. Again, IP filing volumes, we are increasing as compared to developed economies. They are very high. Policy enforcement, it's moderate for us. Commercialization is limited. Small and medium enterprises participation is low and moderate ones. IP awareness, it's very uneven. Uneven means few are very well aware, but few are yet to be apprenticed about that. Then policy maturity, we are developing. So these are the basic realities of India and vis-a-vis developed countries, wherein we should now see why are IPR issues important, because it has role in global trade and foreign direct investment, research and development and innovations. Startups are growing up, and because of that, IPR issues are gaining importance. Because of Make in India program of IP-driven growth drivers, the rising research and development, globalization and FDI, IT and AI supported startup systems are developing, growing up. So they are also one of the growth drivers. Digital content booming is there. Pharma and biotech boom is there. Agri-tech and seed industry is booming. And also government initiatives are being taken. So they are all supporting for good IP sector. Now, coming to sector wise, what are the opportunities? So there is a good opportunity coming up in IT and softwares, pharma and biotech. I won't be, because of paucity of time, I won't be going on the details of these sectors. Electronics and hardwares, clean energy and material is also a promising sector. Agriculture and GI. Media and entertainment has always been a boom sector for copyright segment. Academic and public research institutions. And then recently, startups and incubators are also promising sectors. IP framework, this has already been covered by a previous speaker, so I'll be skipping on that. Now, coming to National IPR policy of 2016, how government is taking up these issues. So the basic objectives of these this generating new IPRs, developing strong and balanced laws, legal frameworks, administration. Then commercialization is very important aspect, enforcement of the laws, and also building up human capital. Now, this is where building up of human capital, the stress of government, and there lies the opportunity for our new lot. The core strategies, streamlining, support for startup is there, integration, linking of IP with broader national goals like Make in India component. Then education and traditional knowledge are to be protected. Now, addressing the challenges and violations, we are facing the challenge of enforcement of IPR laws, just because there is lack of awareness and limited resources are there for monitoring and resolving the disputes. So violation of IPRs is also there. We need to address them strongly. And these violations result in piracy and counterfeiting on business, which has impact on financial losses, business, and also dents the brand reputation. Overall overview of IPR policies in India, it is aimed to strengthen IPR scenario and also promote innovation and creativity. So the recent reforms, what we have already seen in previous slide, IPR policy of India has come up with these objectives to of creating major reforms. And the network framework, IP framework in different portfolios, they have their own rules. The growth of IPR sector in India, it is experiencing significant increase, driven by increased awareness, foreign investment, and a burgeoning startup ecosystem. So we have, because of this, more number of IP protection technologies are also coming up, and we are trying to be at par with the global trends. This is what I have covered in previous slide also. The basic gist is the R&D. R&D is to be supported by IP protection, which will result in ultimate growth chain. Then few recommendations for policymakers. Audit sectorial IP needs. Different sectors need to be addressed in a different way. Modern IP offices processes, they need to be strengthened by human resources, and strengthening in, and this will result in strengthening of and enforcement of the laws, IP laws, and will ultimately lead in good research environment, good IP environment, and ultimately global innovation index position will also improve. This is what is the role of IPR. We need to create, we need to protect that IPR, and then ultimately we need to commercialize it. So the policy is has been drafted, and we are working on all these aspects. Now coming to the opportunities in public sector, as patent examiners in different IP portfolios where registration is done or protection is granted. So in all those offices, IP professionals are required, and also in universities and technology transfer organizations and public sector units also. In private sector, if we talk about it, IP law firms are there, in-house counsels are required, patent agents are there, patent counsels, consultants are there, licensing and violations are there. So we need to address these issues. So key job profiles, what are there? Patent agents, IP lawyers are there, trademark attorneys are there, IP managers, licensing managers, and these are all with a handsome salary. As we get experienced, the salary package also increases. So for science graduates, there is need for basic IP information about the basic IPs. Internship, patent drafting courses are there, patent agent exam is there, and they can also go for optional law graduation. For law graduates, IP subjects are there, internships are there, technical literacy on specific IP issues can be taken up, and higher studies can be taken up on these aspects. Essential competencies are definitely required. So we need to have a good legal knowledge and have analytical skills. Understanding of technologies and innovation is very important. And then along with that, communication and negotiation skills are also required for a successful IP professional. Now, what are the challenges and risks? The complex laws. There is delay in the granting of registration of IP. So all these things have to be addressed with ethical issues. One has to be very honest in disclosure. Confidentiality has to be maintained. We need to avoid frivolous filing, and professional integrity has to be there. Courses and resources, different courses are there. Different professional bodies are there. They are conducting courses for different IP sectors. So one can get registered and get benefit from these courses. They are of very short durations. Now the key insight and future direction. So promising with ongoing reforms, increased awareness, and a growing emphasis on innovation and technology is there in India nowadays. And there is call for action for new IPR aspirants to be IPR professionals. Now, as I'm the last speaker, so I feel these are the key takeaways from this complete session. IPR domain offers future-proof career with a blend law, technology, and business. Now, this is not just future-proof. Why we are saying? Because it is ever booming. Even in case of recession, people will not stop thinking. And once thinking is there, innovation would be there. And this sector is going to boom. But we need to have ethics and skills. They are the key. And IP protection delivers maximum economic benefit, not merely through strong laws, but through their effective enforcement, commercialization mechanism, and integration with national innovation system. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shailesh, for highlighting there are several options for the young blooming buds, and also highlighting the key issues for the IP protection management. And with this, we come to the end of this program on IP awareness for strengthening IPR portfolios. We are thankful to all the speakers. I'm sorry, the time was so packed, schedule was so packed that we could not have the question answers. But again, from
Sir,
I'll request Dr. Indir Prasad to brief vote of thanks because already the chief guest has to leave for the to take a flight. Dr. Indivar.
hello. Thank you, sir. Respected director, sir. Chief guest of today's function, Dr. Siddharth Sharma, sir. Esteemed resource persons, heads of division, emeritus scientist Dr. PM Singh, sir. Distinguished guests, colleagues, participants who have joined us physically or and online. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of ICR and JTM unit, it is my private privilege to propose a vote of thanks at the conclusion of this one-day IP awareness program. Siddharth Sharma, sir, for coming all the way from New Delhi to grace this program. We are deeply thankful to him for sharing his rich experience and valuable insights on IPR landscape in agriculture, which have greatly enriched our understanding and inspired all participants. I express my sincere gratitude to our Honorable Director for his inspiring inaugural address and constant guidance in strengthening the IPR and technology commercialization ecosystem of the Institute. I'm also deeply thankful to our eminent resource person for sharing their valuable insights on IPR, technology commercialization, and emerging challenges in IPR. Their expert deliberation have enriched our understanding and made this program highly meaningful. I also acknowledge the support of Council of Science and Technology, Uttar Pradesh, and extend my appreciation for all collaborating partners, both physical and online, for your active involvement, which reflects the growing awareness and relevance of IPR in agriculture research and entrepreneurship. I place on record my appreciation for the dedicated efforts of JTMT and supporting staff for their meticulous planning and smooth conduct of this program. With these words, I once again thanks everyone for their valuable contribution and wish you all continued success in your professional endeavors. Thank you very much. Thank you. So those who have joined online, they can disconnect. And in the sir, there is one announcement. Everybody is invited for the lunch downstairs. And there was one suite was which was sponsored by one of our technical officers, Chandbhushan ji, जिनको दो जुड़वा बेटों की प्राप्ति पोतों की प्राप्ति हुई है उसके तो उन्होंने उनकी तरफ से मिठाई दी गई थी. थैंक यू वंस अगेन. थैंक यू ऑल.